no surprise, 2 to 3 inches of rainfall. Some of those areas where we're seeing the heaviest showers right now in parts of South Carolina and North Carolina. Getting a little bit of a break. We'll appreciate this. Parts of Atlanta down towards Macon over to Montgomery and Birmingham. Panama City, though, I know it has been a bear of a run for weather. Not great beach weather. You may get some opportunities today to head on out. Charlotte, for you, again, adding it all up through Sunday, it could be an inch or two. Roanoke as well. So watch that drive along 81. Erica?
And Maria, this flooding has really been just so persistent across the East Coast. If we look at the last 7 days here across parts of the Southeast, some of these numbers are truly startling. 5 to 8 inches, maybe even some pockets of higher across portions of the Carolinas, down near the Florida Panhandle. Areas in Florida also being impacted. But this area to the north here across North Georgia and portions of Alabama, that's an area we're going to have to watch very closely today because the flash flood guidance is quite low across that region. So here's a look at the water vapor imagery. Notice all that dry air as well off the coast. We have deep moisture and thunderstorms here starting to form over the Gulf of Mexico. These will likely continue to move from south to north throughout the day because we are seeing those strong upper level winds pushing things in that direction. A lot of activity here along the coastal Carolinas, potentially more heavy rain coming into Wilmington, maybe into the Outer Banks by later on today. In the last hour, we're seeing about 2 to 3 inches potentially out of some of those storms. These are estimates from the radar, so just an idea of what's going on, but unfortunately more heavy rain to come. Now, I just mentioned the flash flood guidance. That means how much additional water will it take to cause flash flooding today? There are parts of Georgia and Alabama where it's going to take less than ½ an inch to cause flooding in just 1 hour. Any of these thunderstorms that form today have the potential to bring that amount of rainfall. So flash flooding is a very real issue here in portions of the southeast. Remember, the watch means to be prepared. We're expecting those conditions to be favorable. Warning means the action is imminent. Another area that we're watching very closely is Hawaii because, believe it or not, and unfortunately we are facing many wildfires throughout the West Coast right now. A lot of areas really suffering underneath that strong ridge of high pressure. The fires extend all the way from the southwest up into the northwest, of course, Seattle, even Alaska seeing some wildfires here. But if we look at the wildfires year to date, what we've been seeing so far this year in comparison to other years, we are certainly above average. That's that white line. We typically see about 3.8 million acres burned. We're up at near 4.8. We're getting up into that range of some of the biggest wildfire seasons we've seen here in the past 6 years, 2015 and last year, of course, among them. And it's a pretty early start for many of these areas right now. Areas to watch today include much of the Rockies here, the northern Rockies, into parts of Nevada, so Reno, Elko, areas near Idaho Falls and Helena. Critical fire risk today, meaning the conditions are very ripe potentially to spark these fires. Not going to get a whole lot of help from the winds. You can see very strong gusty winds right now across the Rockies. A trough of low pressure is bringing these winds up at the upper levels. That may help fuel and spread any of these fires. Maybe some relief tomorrow morning, Maria, but unfortunately the rainfall not in sight.
We'll be watching it. Thank you, Dr. Navarro. Right now, we are tracking a very dangerous fluid situation unfolding up and down the East Coast. Another day of torrential downpours
for many of these other areas. But even with the rain, there is the threat for severe storms as well. A very strong jet stream is in the area, bringing the potential for damaging winds, potentially some isolated hail here for areas all the way from New England down to northern Virginia. So could be a pretty busy day for a lot of these places in the forecast for today. Let's take a look at New York. You can see things start off okay. Lots of spotty showers and thunderstorms moving in by the evening rush hour. So by 5 o'clock tonight, maybe trying to leave work early, maybe trying to get home, could be running into some issues along I-95 across portions of 280. 495 looks pretty good at the moment. And then it looks like the next round of storms not likely to come in until really early Saturday morning. So that's some good news. Hopefully by that point, things start to clear up. By Saturday evening, we look like we're going to be okay. But for the next couple of days, those thunderstorms will be in the forecast for New York City. You can see every day here those lightning bolts indicating the chance for thunderstorms. Some might be hit and miss, but Maria, the likelihood of rainfall still very likely.
There you go, right? It just cannot shake it. All right, it looks a little deceiving right here because you've got some brightness there at St. Paul, Minnesota, 64 degrees, winds at about 11 miles per hour. But we're already tracking not just thunderstorms, but some severe weather right now. So Not far from St. Paul, currently on the radar. I know an early wake-up call for some of you. You've got the severe thunderstorm warning right now to the north and west of the downtown Minneapolis area, and not just a damaging wind threat here as these move to the east at about 30 miles per hour, but there may be some quarter-size hail. And that's sort of the size that you start to ding up your car. So any of these areas ahead of it, if you have the opportunity to duck the car into a parking garage or the garage or a carport, you might want to do that. But there's that warning for Wright County until 9 Central Time, Annandale, Buffalo, Delano. You're also looking at, again, the possibility of some of those brief gusty winds and potentially some hail. As you can see it being picked up by the Doppler indicated there. It will be continue to move off to the east, southeast, so heads up around the perimeter in Minneapolis as this continues over the next hour or so. So St. Paul near you at 9:31, Cottage Grove it holds together around 9:51. So Minneapolis, your go time will be right about quarter after 9 this morning. So you have a little bit more opportunity to get on out there and get that car inside. But that is a zone today we'll keep an eye on all the way from Fargo to Sioux Falls, North Platte all the way down to Colby. Early on especially there is that hail threat. Later on this evening as those thunderstorms progress, it'll be more of a damaging wind threat. But we have that disturbance that's been riding the jet stream to the north. We have plenty of moisture that's coming right in from the Gulf of Mexico. Dew points here into the upper 60s. Then with the front at the surface, that rolls to the east as we get into early part of next week. So a couple opportunities here to see the shower and the thunderstorm threat, and that water, that rainfall will add up. So watch for ponding on the roadways. But there you can see things getting fired up in towards the afternoon and evening. Erica?
And fires have scorched hundreds of thousands of acres and destroyed dozens of homes in the west. At the same time, record flooding has inundated and stranded people in the east. Coming up, we'll take a look at the pattern causing both events. We're looking live at Atlantic City, New Jersey. Looks like a pretty beautiful day right now, but don't let that sunshine you see fool you. We're expecting to see those thunderstorms start bubbling up early this afternoon, and some of them can bring down some very heavy rain. So keep your eye to the sky if you're heading to the beach today, and of course, keep that phone handy with your app, your Weather Channel app, to make sure you're getting the alerts. Unfortunately, many of the beaches across the northeast and southeast will be affected by storms today as our continued heavy rain threat persists in the region. Looking out at the coastal areas right now, it looks pretty decent, but as we head throughout the day, that chance for storms is going to increase. Atlantic City, New Jersey, temperature is 85 degrees, but you can see thunderstorms in our forecast. That chance of rain is 80% today. And note that strong onshore winds could be keeping the rip current threat high, so please make sure you're paying attention to the flags and heeding the advice of the lifeguards. In Long Beach, New York, same thing, 80 degrees. That chance of thunderstorms 80% today. As we head up the coast towards Massachusetts, you can see Chatham, no chance for those thunderstorms, but heavy rain potential here, 40% chance for the day with temperatures into the high 70s. Now across the southeast, we've also got some very strong storms lingering here across Charleston, moving up towards the Wilmington area. If we look down towards Hilton Head Island, the chance for thunderstorms today, 100%. So not the best day to be out on Hilton Head Island. We'll be expecting those winds to pick up later today, Maria. For heavy rain today all across the northeast, we have flash flood watches that are in effect for portions of the Appalachians up into the interior part of New England, as well as coastal Georgia and coastal Carolina today. It's not an isolated threat. With this pattern that we've been facing, the consistent stream of moisture, many areas at risk through tomorrow morning of excessive rain, potentially 1 to 2 inch per hour, torrential downpours, issues on the roadways. It is all in the forecast today for these areas of the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic. Taking a look at what's still to come. This is the forecast through Sunday, just to get you right up to speed with what we're talking about. Another 2 to 3 inches is the potential for many here across this part of the country. We might be seeing some isolated areas still of 3 to 5. And even if that doesn't sound like a lot, 3 to 5 certainly is, trust me, especially on top of what we've already seen. That 2 to 3 could be enough to put us over the edge in many of these areas because it's been extremely wet here the past couple of weeks. Taking a look right now, you can see we've got a few warnings here across the state of Pennsylvania, some as well into Virginia. Heavy rain right now moving north, north of Scranton into the Binghamton area, across I-81 and I-88 right now into New York. Bradford, Susquehanna, Wyoming County, you're under that flash flood warning until 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. In Altoona, south of I-80, we've got strong, even after these storms move to 12:30 Eastern Time. And we look off towards Washington and Baltimore, and we see some showers here starting to come in from the south. So for Washington and Baltimore, of course, we're watching these areas very closely because they've also been seeing the impacts. Today will look okay, likely for the most part through the afternoon. It's later on tonight that we're expecting expecting those storms to really come up from the west and the south, really move in and potentially bring some more heavy rain, flooding rain potentially across the Beltway and portions of I-95. Likely going to be clearing out into the afternoon, but Maria, of course, we got to watch New York as well because the threat for storms will be present this afternoon.
And prime time commuting time and getting out on the road too. We have new video in from Newark Airport in New Jersey. Rain coming across the area, resulting in some delays, and we see them on the board right now. In fact, averaging about 30 minutes to an hour across the New York metro airports. We have Philadelphia logging in some, LaGuardia, as well as Newark too. So already getting an early start. Some departure delays, some inbound flights delayed as well. And it's not going to get a ton easier. Just have to watch because we have that storm threat up and down the eastern corridor, including DCA, PHL. We've got all the way up to Boston. Chicago, looking good. DFW, Dallas, looking good. Weather-wise, Phoenix and LAX too. We've got San Francisco. We'll watch for the wind component, but SeaTac should be in good shape too. Some clouds. Also getting a heads up, Orlando, if you're making that weekend getaway to the theme parks, could have some weather impact for you. And we're watching Minneapolis, even right now, with some storms in the vicinity for some weather-related slowdowns. There you go. The New York metro airports, Philadelphia, Newark, JFK, and LaGuardia with the highest delays here. Most time over an hour, approaching 2 hours at JFK. Atlanta's in good shape right now, as is Jacksonville and Miami, but I-95 could be stormy later today, so we'll watch the ponding on the roadways. Also, as you head towards the north, a greater likelihood of running into some of those showers. And then, of course, that I-85 corridor, too, that threat for some stronger thunderstorms as you head to the north. Dr. Navarro?
And Maria, there were more than 99 problems at the Jay-Z and Beyonce concert at MetLife Stadium last night.
And then eventually a coastal hazard as those waves will be battering the coastline. We are concerned about, beach erosion, fishing pier damage, that kind of thing. As the system approaches Wednesday night into Thursday, you can see Thursday, we're going to be looking at an imminent landfall somewhere along the North Carolina coastline. But again, this track could change. So keep tuning in with us here at the Weather Channel as we get new information from the hurricane hunters who are flying through the storm right now. Obviously, the other impact is going to be the very heavy rain, the inland flooding as well. And Alex, I know we've got new video out of Maryland.